Have you ever felt a chill so deep it touched your soul? That's what it's like in the Arctic, but even in the coldest places, warmth can be found. This is a story about that warmth, about an unlikely friendship between a man and a bear. Dr. Thomas Carter, a biologist, dedicated his life to studying these magnificent creatures. He knew their strength, their intelligence, and their capacity for love, even though many saw them only as fearsome predators. One day, a distress call crackled over the radio. A young polar bear was trapped. A poaching snare had ensnared its leg, causing a deep, painful wound. Dr. Carter and his team flew to the rescue, their hearts heavy with the bear's plight. The rescue was perilous. The bear, though injured and scared, was still a powerful predator. But Dr. Carter, with his calm demeanor and years of experience, approached the bear with caution and kindness. After tranquilizing the bear, they carefully removed the snare. Dr. Carter tended to the bear's wounds, his touch gentle and reassuring. He named the bear Spirit for its unwavering will to survive. Spirit was airlifted back to the research base. There, in a specially designed enclosure, Dr. Carter nursed Spirit back to health. He spent hours talking to Spirit, singing to him, assuring him that he was safe. Days turned into weeks. Spirit, initially wary of his rescuer, began to respond to Dr. Carter's kindness. There were moments shared through the bars of the enclosure when their eyes would meet. A silent understanding passed between them, a bond of trust forged in the harsh Arctic landscape. Spirit's strength returned, and so did his playful nature. He would splash in his pool, roll in the snow, and watch Dr. Carter work with an intense curiosity. Section 5. The Accident. One afternoon, as Dr. Carter was checking on Spirit's enclosure, disaster struck. The Arctic sun was low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the snow. Dr. Carter, a seasoned scientist, had spent years studying the behavior of polar bears in this remote wildlife reserve. He had grown particularly fond of Spirit, a majestic polar bear with a unique bond to him. The two had shared countless moments, and Spirit had become more than just a subject of study. He was a friend. The ground, unstable from the spring thaw, gave way. The Arctic landscape, though breathtakingly beautiful, was treacherous. The melting snow and ice created hidden dangers beneath the surface. Dr. Carter, lost in his thoughts about Spirit's recent behavior, didn't notice the subtle shift in the ground beneath his feet. Dr. Carter slipped, tumbling down a steep embankment. The fall seemed to happen in slow motion. He reached out, trying to grasp onto anything to stop his descent, but the icy surface offered no grip. His body twisted and turned as he plummeted down the slope. His leg twisted at an unnatural angle, the pain shooting up his body like a lightning bolt. He landed with a thud, the impact knocking the wind out of him. The searing pain in his leg was immediate and intense, making it difficult to think clearly. He lay there helpless, the icy wind biting at his skin. The Arctic wind was relentless, cutting through his clothing and chilling him to the bone. He tried to move, but the pain was too much. He knew he was in a dire situation. Spirit, witnessing the fall, let out a roar that echoed across the frozen wasteland. The sound was both a cry of distress and a call for help. Spirit had always been protective of Dr. Carter, and now, seeing his friend in danger, he was filled with a sense of urgency. He paced anxiously by the fence line, his movements frantic. Spirit's usual calm demeanor was replaced by agitation. He moved back and forth, his eyes never leaving Dr. Carter. The bond between them was strong, and Spirit could sense the gravity of the situation. His human friend was in trouble, and he knew he had to do something. Spirit's instincts kicked in. He had seen Dr. Carter help him countless times, and now it was his turn to return the favor. The Arctic wilderness was unforgiving, but the bond between a man and a polar bear was something extraordinary. As the wind howled and the snow swirled around them, Spirit's determination grew stronger. He would not let his friend face this peril alone. Section 6. A Grateful Roar. Dr. Carter drifted in and out of consciousness, the cold seeping into his bones. The Arctic was unforgiving, a vast expanse of white that seemed to stretch on forever. He had been on a research expedition studying the effects of climate change on polar bear populations. But now, all of that seemed so distant, so irrelevant. The biting wind cut through his clothing, and he could feel his body shutting down, succumbing to the relentless cold. He could hear the distant drone of a helicopter, but it seemed to be fading. He was losing hope. The sound was a cruel reminder of how close yet how far rescue was. His team had sent out a distress signal, but in the vastness of the Arctic, finding one man was like finding a needle in a haystack. The helicopter's sound grew fainter, and Dr. Carter's hope began to wane. He thought of his family, his friends, and the life he had led. Was this how it would end? Just when his vision began to blur, he felt a warm, wet sensation on his face. At first, he thought he was hallucinating, a trick of his hypothermic mind, but the sensation persisted, grounding him in the present. He forced his eyes open and saw a massive white figure looming over him. It was Spirit, the polar bear he had been studying. The bear's breath was warm against his frozen skin, and for a moment he felt a flicker of hope. Spirit somehow had managed to squeeze through an opening in the damaged fence. The bear had always been curious, often watching the researchers from a distance. But this time he had come closer, driven by some instinct. The fence that had once kept the bears at bay was now a lifeline. Spirit's presence was a miracle, a testament to the bond that had formed between man and beast. He was licking Dr. Carter's face, his rough tongue a strange comfort in the face of death. The bear's actions were almost tender, as if he understood the gravity of the situation. Dr. Carter felt a surge of gratitude. In his delirium, he whispered words of thanks, though he knew the bear couldn't understand him. But Spirit's eyes seemed to hold a depth of understanding, a connection that transcended species. Then, with a strength born of desperation, Spirit nudged Dr. Carter with his massive head, pushing him towards the edge of the embankment. The bear's strength was immense, and Dr. Carter felt himself being moved inch by inch towards safety. It was as if Spirit knew that help was near, that the helicopter would return. The bear's determination was unwavering, and Dr. Carter clung to that hope. As he was pushed closer to the edge, he could hear the faint sound of the helicopter growing louder. Rescue was on its way, and it was all thanks to a grateful roar from an unlikely savior. Section 7. Farewell, my friend. The rescue team, alerted by the bear's roars, found Dr. Carter. He was hypothermic, his leg broken, but alive. Spirit, his job done, sat patiently by Dr. Carter's side until he was loaded onto the stretcher. As the helicopter lifted off, Dr. Carter could see Spirit watching him, his head tilted in farewell. The bond between them, forged in the crucible of survival, would never be broken. Section 8. The language of compassion. The Arctic, a place of stark beauty and unforgiving cold, stretches out in a vast expanse of white. Here, in this remote and desolate region, life is a constant struggle for survival. The biting winds and freezing temperatures create an environment where only the hardiest of creatures can endure. Yet amidst this harshness there exists a profound beauty, a delicate balance of life that is both fragile and resilient. It was in this unforgiving landscape that an extraordinary act of compassion unfolded. A polar bear, a creature often seen as a symbol of the wild and untamed Arctic, extended a paw of kindness to a stranded human. This act was not just a moment of survival, but a profound gesture that transcended the boundaries of species. This event was a testament to the profound connections that exist between all living creatures. In the Arctic, where survival often depends on the strength of the individual, this act of compassion highlighted the interconnectedness of all life. It showed that even in the most isolated and extreme environments, the bonds of empathy and mutual aid can flourish. This story serves as a reminder that love and empathy can blossom even in the most unexpected circumstances. It challenges our perceptions of the natural world, urging us to see beyond the surface and recognize the deep emotional lives of the creatures that share our planet. These moments of unexpected kindness remind us of the shared humanity that connects us all. Spirit's story, as this polar bear came to be known, reminds us that the language of compassion knows no bounds. It is a universal language spoken through actions and emotions that transcends the barriers of species and geography. The eyes of Spirit, filled with a gentle understanding, tell a story of empathy that resonates deeply within us. This language of compassion whispers in the wind, carried across the frozen tundra by the gentle breezes that sweep through the Arctic. It is a soft, almost imperceptible murmur that speaks of unity and shared existence. The wind, a constant presence in this icy realm, becomes a messenger of these silent yet powerful stories. It echoes in the roar of a grateful bear, a sound that reverberates through the icy silence. This roar, a vocal expression of the bear's emotions, carries with it a message of gratitude and connection. It is a powerful reminder that even the most formidable creatures are capable of deep feelings and expressions of thanks. And it warms the coldest corners of our world. In the midst of the Arctic's icy expanse, these acts of compassion create moments of warmth and connection. They remind us that even in the most inhospitable places, the light of kindness can shine brightly, illuminating the path towards a more compassionate world.